Streaming on clickorlando.com, you're watching News 6 at 10.
Well, it seems to me that their minds were already made up.
And I get it, I respect it, but I'm not definitely in favor of it. I can tell you that.
Town leaders are not happy, but after decades of debate and months of motions, tonight it is a done deal. A huge former school site is changing hands. What it means for Eatonville's future.
It is nice and mild right now, but that is all about to change. Our air mass later this week, it's charging up now in parts of southern Canada. We'll talk about how cold it gets in your neighborhood in a few minutes.
How could any parent neglect their children like that? That was my first reaction.
Newborn preemie twins found starving. The parents' excuse has neighbors outraged.
One glass of water isn't going to be a problem, but a lifetime or 10 years of drinking this.
So-called forever chemicals turn up in one county's drinking water. Why the plan to clean it up will take quite a while.
Spread out on the floor! Spread out on the floor!
A new look at one of our most clicked on stories in weeks, how deputies stop a teen trying to escape from them in a stolen truck.
But we start now tonight at 10 o'clock with what else? The weather. A cold blast is coming to Central Florida, bringing with it Jonathan Kegas and the coldest air in years. Good evening. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
I'm Matt Austin. Glad you're with us. We are talking 30s, maybe even 20s in just days. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas here. Jonathan, the changes start tomorrow, but there's still a little time to get ready.
A little time, yeah. I think the coldest air comes in. You'll notice it really. The temperatures will drop Thursday morning through the afternoon, then we'll bottom out on Friday morning. The rain chances start to go up tomorrow out ahead of this thing. There's the front itself. It's pushing through parts of the upper Midwest. You see the blue on the radar indicating the snow coming out of parts of southern Canada. That is not coming here, the snow portion. But the cold air behind that Arctic cold front is, and again, that will arrive during the morning on Thursday, and temperatures drop until we bottom out Friday morning. Here's at least the southern end of it. It's even colder on the northern end of the Hudson Bay, but nonetheless, you see 5 to 10 to 15 degrees below zero. That's the actual air temperature, not the wind. That is starting to bleed into northern Minnesota right now. We're nice and toasty at 63. That is going to change big time by the time we get into Friday. Palm Coast, we're at 58, 62 degrees in Holopaw. Nice mild start tomorrow. Rain chances going up a little bit in response to that system. We're going to time out the timeline of those rain chances and then break down how cold it gets. Some are going to want to protect their pipes by Friday morning, guys. It's going to be that kind of cold.
Jonathan, thank you. Our other top story right now at 10 and just into our newsroom. The deal is done after decades of debate, months of pushback from Eatonville leaders. The Hungerford property is changing hands.
Yeah, tonight the Orange County School Board unanimously voted to sell the 117-acre former school site to a nonprofit that promises to revitalize it and give some of the land back to the town. Your Orange County community correspondent Troy Campbell was inside the meeting for tonight's vote.
After hearing from members of the Eatonville Town Council opposing the deal, the board ultimately moved forward, voting unanimously to sell the property to the Dr. Phillips Foundation.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
The Orange County Public School Board approving the sale of the historic Hungerford property to the Dr. Phillips Charities on Tuesday.
I want to thank the Eatonville residents for your phone calls, emails, handwritten notes, coffees, tours, history lessons.
Members of the board said the community of Eatonville will benefit from the plan, which includes developing the 117-acre historic property into an early learning child center, a community health care facility, a pavilion, museum, and a green space.
And I do believe at the end of it all that Eatonville will be prosperous. They will have a sustainable tax base, and they will be able to move forward with this property.
The plan calls for a $1 million down payment by the Dr. Phillips Charities for the site of the former Hungerford School, with the rest of the purchase amount forgiven, as long as they make good on their development plans.
Parts of that $13 million get forgiven as they honor their commitment, and if they don't, there's provisions for that.
Well, it seems to me that their minds were already made up.
However, before their vote, members of the Eatonville Town Council made their plea, urging the board not to approve the purchase.
I understand they got a job to do as a board, make tough decisions, you know what I'm saying? And I get it, I respect it, but I'm not definitely in favor of it, I can tell you that.
The approval comes after a 4-1 vote by the Eatonville Town Council to reject the plan, after members say Mayor Angie Gardner didn't include them in discussions for the deal.
You felt like the council was left in the dark with the plan?
Yeah, we was actually left in the dark. The way things had went, I'll say backdoor deals with, sitting down with OCPS as well as Dr. Phillips Foundation.
Now moving forward, Board Chairman Jacob says it's important for the community of Eatonville and the Dr. Phillips Foundation to work together. Outside OCPS, I'm your Orange County Community Correspondent Troy Campbell, News 6.
Now to a sad story that has neighbors asking, how could parents not know to feed their newborn preemie twins? Acting on a tip, deputies found the infants severely malnourished, unresponsive, and say the parents claimed ignorance. Your Seminole County Community Correspondent Alex Cook was there as the couple could face a judge. I want to warn you the details might be upsetting.
The malnourished babies and their parents, Madison Smith and Leroy Summersall, stayed in this RV behind this home on Bird Avenue in Sanford. The Seminole County Sheriff's Office got involved after a tip to the Florida Abuse Hotline that the babies weren't getting the care that they needed. The deputies that got here said that the babies were premature, malnourished, and not getting the proper care, leading to life-threatening conditions. They faced a judge today.
How could any parent neglect their children like that? That was my first reaction.
Louise Perkins lives in the home just behind the RV where Smith and Summersall stayed with the two babies. She didn't know the couple, but says if they were struggling for food, they could have asked for help.
If they had a need, there were organizations in this community where they could have reached out and they would have helped them.
She saw deputies at the RV on January 6th, the day they followed the Florida Abuse Hotline tip to check on the infants. The deputies report is disturbing, reading in part, the twins were malnourished to the point where you could see every bone in their bodies. The children were unresponsive and required life-saving interventions. No formula or empty containers were found in the family's RV. The parents said they were never told by any medical professional that they needed to feed the babies more as they grew.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. Grown adults don't know you feed a baby when they're small so they can get the nutrients they need to grow big. It's just mind-boggling.
I see that you have filled out an affidavit. Yes, ma'am.
A judge set bond for the parents at $50,000 for each child neglect charge with great bodily harm. That's $100,000 for both parents. They're also not allowed to contact the infants or anyone under 18 years old or contact each other, and each will be fitted with GPS monitors. The babies were airlifted to Arnold Palmer Hospital in Orlando, where they received life-saving treatment. Smith and Summersall are scheduled to return to court on March 3rd for their arraignment as this case moves forward. In Sanford, Alex Cook, News 6.
Well, tonight, an Edgewater man is accused of threatening to kill the governor and the U.S. Secret Service director and the Volusia sheriff. Daniel Cook from Edgewater is now facing several charges, including making written threats. When he went to court this afternoon, the judge mentioned the victims are Governor Ron DeSantis, Secret Service Director Sean Curran, and Volusia Sheriff Mike Chitwood. Cook is being held without bond.
Well, is the water safe to drink in northern Brevard County? So-called forever chemicals, chemicals that cause cancer, are turning up in drinking water in levels more than the EPA limits. Your MIMS community correspondent pressed a concerned commissioner about the danger and asked if they're doing enough to clean up the water supply.
Chemicals that can cause cancer are still being found in some of Brevard County's drinking water. At water treatment plants in South Brevard at Barefoot Bay to here in North Brevard at the MIMS water treatment plant, recent samples found levels of PFAS, called forever chemicals because they don't break down, exceeding new EPA limits. For decades, these kinds of chemicals weren't regulated, and locally, people who live near Patrick Space Force Base blamed military chemicals in the environment when they got sick. This interview with a breast cancer survivor was from my extensive coverage in 2018 of a possible cancer cluster.
This is not a coincidence that so many of us in our early 30s and some of us in our 20s getting cancer.
For perspective, the EPA limits are in the parts per trillion, so any detection is in a very, very small amount, You're sticking to 0 is truly safe.
Absolutely.
But it's enough to concern county commissioners like Katie Delaney.
You know, one glass of water isn't going to be a problem, but a lifetime or 10 years of drinking this, it will cause problems. Thyroid problems, heart disease, cancer.
So what do you think can be done beyond notifying people of the results?
So we do have a plan in place. We are working on a reverse osmosis system for our water facilities, and that will filter out the PFAS in this water.
Commissioner Delaney told me that will take a couple of years. So when I asked her if your water is safe to drink right now, she recommends getting a good filter. If you'd like to see the full water sample results, I'll put them on clickorlando.com. In Brevard County, I'm your MIMS community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
In Volusia County, today marks 1 year since 2 dogs killed an 8-year-old boy in his own neighborhood. The dogs attacked Michael Millette while he was riding his bike in DeLand. The dogs were euthanized, and the owners now face felony charges for tampering with evidence, accused of deleting Facebook messages detailing the dogs being loose. They are set to go on trial next month. The boy's family says the charges are not enough, and they're pushing for more accountability. In the past year, their advocacy helped pass the Pam Rock Act. It's a law that holds owners of dangerous dogs responsible and seeks to prevent future attacks. Volusia County also now requires dangerous dogs to have $500,000 in liability insurance. It's a measure aimed at protecting communities from similar tragedies.
In Flagler County, we're getting a new look at how a high-speed chase in the middle of a kidnapping case came crashing to a close.
Sheriff's office, let me see your hands! Let me see your hands! Lay down! Lay down! Lay down! Spread out on the floor! Spread out on the floor!
This is video of a 15-year-old getting arrested last month along US 1 after a pit maneuver sent the stolen truck he was driving into some bush and onto its roof near Bunnell. You may remember the case. Deputies say the teen hopped in the driver's seat, took off as they were arresting its owner. A registered sex offender was found with a teen and a missing 11-year-old. We're not showing or naming the 15-year-old, but he is facing several serious charges, and so is that sex offender, Darnell Hairston. Well, you could call it the price of progress.
Yeah, imagine living near this. No, thank you. How many hours a day, every day, people living near a major road expansion will have to put up with this noise, and why it could soon be on the move?
What we're seeing are kids in packs of e-bikes ignoring the rules of the roadway.
Just because they sell it in the store doesn't necessarily make it legal or street legal.
One police department's cracking down on e-bikes, and it could cost parents what your child or teen needs to know. And new at 10, a shark trapped and tangled. Florida deputies come to the rescue. Who they called in as backup after seeing the teeth.
You're watching News 6 at 10 on a Tuesday night. We're covering Claremont, Tildenville, and all of Central Florida. This portion of the news is sponsored by Central Florida Honda Dealers.
Well, police have had enough with kids on e-bikes.
Oh, that was cute.
And now parents are paying the price. The speedy scooters and bikes often don't follow the rules of the road, putting the riders and drivers in danger.
In Oviedo, police say complaints about kids taking over the roads led them to take action. Your Seminole County community correspondent Catherine Silver was there as officers started handing out tickets.
I spoke with police about their enforcement efforts. They tell me they're not just concerned about e-bikes, which can go up to 28 miles per hour. They are more concerned with electric motorcycles, which can go much faster. At Jackson Heights Middle School, officers in Oviedo cited 9 kids in one day, all with electric motorcycles or e-bikes. Have you guys had complaints from the community?
We've had plenty.
We spoke with Lieutenant Adam Edgard about the switch from education to enforcement.
It just got to the point where we felt it wasn't working as well as it should. So the officers went out there and they focused on the ones that would go really, faster, up in the 40, 50 mile an hour range, some of them.
What would make an officer stop a kid on an e-bike or an e-moto and actually issue a citation?
Sometimes just looking at the e-bike or e-motorcycle and you just know whether it's legal or not. If it has no pedals, it's on a bicycle. It's a e-motorcycle.
Oviedo isn't the only city adjusting to the e-bike boom. In nearby Winter Springs, police have told us they've stopped dozens of kids this school year.
What we're seeing are kids in packs of e-bikes ignoring the rules of the roadway. You have to stop at stop signs. You have to operate it like you're operating a vehicle.
At Jackson Heights, Oviedo police say the citations they gave out were non-moving violations, and they focused on finding e-bikes and motorcycles that were not street legal.
We get that so many people bought so many over the Christmas holidays and give it to their kids as presents. Just because they sell it in the store doesn't necessarily make it legal or street legal. So do your due diligence.
And police say it's parents that usually end up paying for it. The citations they gave here last week each came with $116 fines. In Oviedo, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
That right there is the sound some neighbors are dealing with in Oviedo and Winter Springs. A week ago, we told you about some work being done in Seminole County. It's causing big headaches for neighbors nearby.
Yeah, a widening project is underway for State Route 417 near Winter Springs Boulevard. Construction takes place between 6 in the morning and 8 at night. Neighbors tell Seminole County community correspondent Catherine Silver the pounding noise is a nuisance.
It impacts our children, our special needs adults that we have here in this community, our elderly, our pets are affected. And even down the road on Winter Springs Boulevard, you get neighbors commenting, how do you put up with that noise?
People ask you about it.
Now, the noisy work is expected to run through February 6th, but more work is on the horizon and could impact more communities. The widening project is not expected to wrap up until 2030.
New at 10 tonight, on the Gulf Coast, deputies in Manatee County shared how they saved a shark, but they had to call in some backup. The sheriff's office posted this video. Deputies patrolling the water near Manatee Beach when they spotted the 6 to 8 footer tangled up in a crab trap. The sandbar shark had fishing line coming from its lower jaw and at least 3 or 4 other hooks in its skin when one deputy asked his partner to cut the shark free. The other guy said, nope. Too many teeth. So a team from Moat Marine made the actual rescue. Good advice. FWC says if you hook a shark while fishing, cut the line as close to the shark's mouth as possible. What could possibly go wrong, right? Just don't stick your fingers
Do not
anywhere
do
near
that
mouth.
But I'm glad that they went through the extra effort to rescue that shark and save it. Save its life
for sure.
Yeah. All right, let me tell you, we're going to need some life-saving advice to survive this cold snap. I know
That's
it's dramatic.
dramatic.
I understand, I know. But meteorologist Jonathan Kagas, you say we haven't seen this kind of cold in years.
In years. You've seen the memes where it's like the 300 guy go into a Cat 5 hurricane and then like it's the merry men of whatever the the
Oh my
Princess
gosh,
Bride,
yes.
scared when it gets down into the 30s. That's how we are. That's how it's going to be this weekend, really by the end of this work week. 60 degrees in Oviedo, back to the upper 50s in Wildwood, 61 degrees in Holopaw, 64 in Kissimmee. What cold. It is feeling nice out there right now. That all changes Thursday, and then Friday we wake up to the real big stuff. Downtown Orlando live look. We still have some clouds out there. That's a live look with our Light Orlando delivering Hope Skycam. Air temperatures in the low 60s. We have that mainly cloudy sky. The breeze out of the east-northeast at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. That's going to pick up out of the north and west once we get to Thursday. So tomorrow morning, again, still doing pretty good. Back to the upper 50s, even lower 60s. That's running about 10 degrees, give or take, above where we should be for this time of the year. So a nice mild morning tomorrow. It'll be a little cooler tomorrow afternoon because rain chances do start going up a little bit, especially in the afternoon. I do think we are going to keep a mainly cloudy sky, and that's what's keeping the temperatures down a little bit anyway, keeping us into the mid to upper 60s again for tomorrow. Then we wait for the arrival of this guy here. It's slicing through parts of Indiana into Illinois. That's our cold front. That arrives as we move into Thursday again. Out ahead of it tomorrow, though, we do start to get in on some of the showers ahead of it, and then we get the actual thing on Thursday. Temperatures way below zero in parts of southern Canada, south of the Hudson Bay, where we have the core of this colder air behind the front. That is eventually going to bleed down into the eastern two-thirds of the country, bringing us no doubt the coldest air of the season, but the coldest air since way back on Christmas morning of 2022, if you remember that blast of cold air. Fast forwarding to tomorrow, maybe a stray shower in the mix on your morning commute. I think the best opportunity, relatively speaking, for a few showers and a couple of downpours embedded going to be the second half of your Wednesday. So that's 4 to 5 o'clock with those scattered downpours pushing through. I think we take a little bit of a break. And then I think the best opportunity for some rain comes with the front itself. This is going to be 2 to 3 o'clock on your Thursday morning. Note the increasing rain chances coming in from the Gulf along the front. That pushes through. And then we get the nice clean sweep. That is the colder, drier air blasting in. This is what we wake up to on Friday. We're at 26 in Ocala, 24 in Denell and the Villages. We're at 28 degrees. There will be a little bit of a breeze, so it's going to feel a little bit colder. But really, I want you in Bushnell, Leesburg, the Villages, Astor, and the Northwest to consider taking care of your exposed pipes, exterior pipes outside. Let it run a little, just at a drip to make sure it doesn't freeze. It's really the exterior pipes, as we're going to be about 5 or 6 hours below freezing. 60 on Thursday, back to the upper 50s for highs on Friday. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We get a secondary cold front. That's Sunday into Monday. It's going to be rather chilly, guys.
And coming up, what's happening to Florida's most famous fruit and the industry it relies on. When you think Florida, what is the first fruit that comes to mind?
Oranges. For hundreds of years, oranges have gone hand in hand with the state of Florida. They're everywhere. Grocery stores, breakfast tables, and even on license plates. But behind the scenes, the citrus industry is working its way back from years of decline after the USDA released expected production numbers for the new year.
According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Florida itself is expected to produce 12 million boxes of oranges.
That's just for the 2025-2026 season. 1.2 million boxes of grapefruits and 400,000 boxes of tangerines and tangelos also expected. Despite those increased numbers, orange production was down 2% and grapefruit was down 8% for the 2024-2025 season. Industry leaders say while the numbers were lower than they'd like, they point to steady improvement. The reason? Innovative treatments, therapies, and disease-tolerant trees are making a real difference, according to the USDA. Showcase of Citrus in Claremont is working hard, trying to survive the decline.
Now, the reason some of these trees look a little bit more bare than others is because the industry is just so unpredictable. But don't worry, even though some trees have oranges and some trees don't, they are still alive and fighting.
They have replanted hundreds of acres dedicated to just oranges and other forms of citrus. They are also using a new greenhouse for more sensitive citrus fruits to make sure they have the best chance of surviving. Representatives of the Grove tell me they're hopeful after seeing a few trees stay strong. For an industry that generates nearly $7 billion a year and supports tens of thousands of jobs, every season matters, and so does the weather.
Our News 6 weather team is tracking a cold snap coming right here to Central Florida. So what does that mean for this plant right here? Well, citrus farmers are relying on this type of irrigation system, which means water will come through this hose straight up this pole and cover the entire tree in water. Now, why is that better than letting the tree freeze? Well, the water itself will freeze over the plant and the fruit, protecting it. So when it melts, the tree, the fruit, and the flower are fine. In Claremont, I'm Jana Manaholo, News 6.
You can find all of tonight's stories plus breaking news on News 6 Plus.
It's free to download to your smart TV or streaming device. Have a great night.